Twitch. Welcome to Wednesdays. Next up, we got Dustin's Vinyl. And here's the crew, Dustin, Jeff, and Adam.
Yeah. Wow. It feels very empty without music.
I can hum if you want.
You don't know what you got till it's gone. But Anthony, we miss your good guitar playing. So Anthony is I guess he's got a gig here in LA. So he's got like a big music gig, and I didn't even know he was here. So it's weird when people come to LA and they don't hook up with you, right, Adam? Anyway,
I was out there for 2 weeks, and it was
there's no excuse. You and I should at least had a coffee or something. But did you have fun out here? You like it here?
Yeah, no, I love it out there. I mean, the problem is I didn't really get to see much. I saw a lot of the CBS backlot. We were doing there's like 14-hour days there.
Very cool. You're doing like explain kind of what you were doing.
So we put together all the LED panels for the set for Entertainment Tonight. So if any of you guys out there watch Entertainment Tonight, you'll see we did all the video walls that are up on the set.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, you're very good at that.
Did you get a chance to make out with Mary Hart?
Yeah,
she's like your age, Jeff. Nobody wants to do that.
You'd still make out with Mary Hart. Stop it.
Would I? I don't know.
Just for the story.
I don't like blondes. Not a big blonde guy. Any redhead at any age, but not blondes. I'm a weirdo. So that's cool, man. That's great. Jeff, what'd you do this weekend? Did you do anything fun? Any gigs?
Weekend, yeah, I had gigs over the weekend. You know, they weren't good.
They weren't good. You said.
No, they were fine. They were very good. In fact, I hosted and was doing 15 on top, but it was between crowd work and only new material, like none of like the white stuff or anything like that. And like when it goes over good, you feel really good about it. So that was my weekend.
Oh, that's great. Very cool.
Yeah, and listen, we all came. Dustin, man, is the fucking guy, man. You are killing it. The pictures that you're showing is like. It's agreeing with you. You look
Thank
happy.
You, buddy. Thank you,
you
buddy.
Act like you see a little smile on your face these days. Your color is back.
Right.
You look like a star.
Jesus Christ. I appreciate it. You leave a basement in New York and things kind of like start to work out for you. So it's been good, man. It's been doing some really good gigs. Been blessed to work with some really great people, and Nate Bargatze was no exception. And that was a fun time. And it was just my first. Like, just, it was just an amazing tour bus. But
hold on a second. Was the picture that you posted, were you guys on a private plane?
Yeah. We did a tour bus and a jet. We did a jet and a tour bus. I hadn't done that yet. So I did a helicopter once, but to a gig, but this was, this is pretty great. So we did a tour, and it was the most amazing tour bus. It was like an Allman Brothers type style tour bus.
It was like a real rock and roll tour bus?
Oh yeah. It was for bands. It's fantastic.
Tell everybody about it. I want to hear about this.
That's what I'm telling you. It was Jeff's the only guy. I'm telling him,
I'm more excited for you than it would be for me, to be honest with you.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. No, it was fun. It was, well, here's the deal. It was, it was my old roommates, and we're all comedians now. We're still comedians. And so Nate Bargatze he blew up. And
Nick is Nick was your old room.
So it was the three of us. We were in a apartment in Queens. And so, we've all been busting whatever. So it was great to be together with this crew. We were the show, and we went from this, crappy little apartment in Astoria, Queens, to this like $3 million tour bus, to just, go into all these theaters and the East Coast. We went up through Maine, Portland, Maine, went through Connecticut and Mass, and, flew back to Nashville. And yeah, it was great, man. It was really rock and roll. It was like every crowd was over 3,000 people. I was like, it was just really, really, really great. And it was funny because, you're talking about what you had to do up top. What I had to do up top was be G-rated clean. And so, it's open audience to kids and families. And so it's interesting to be able to pull that off. And it was funny because I did these shows and these theater shows with all these families. And then we had a Monday night, and it was just me and Nick. We went to a comedy club, and I was just filthy because it was like I didn't have to be clean. And I think I freaked out everybody. They were like, "What's this guy doing?" because it was like, I knew I could it was a comedy club. So, I could do whatever I wanted, but it was funny. I was just like, I just went in, I think it went a little heavy. The audience is like, hey, easy. We're still Christians, but it was fun, man. It was really cool. It's cool when comedy starts to feel like a rock, band thing, or, the audiences resemble kind of a big, band situation. So yeah, it was great, man. Definitely good for me to, feel that. And yeah, so it's cool. So I'm grateful for the stage time, and it's just been really cool to reconnect, with Nate and Nick and stuff. And so we're having a ball.
That's more than just like doing a spot in Ray Goots's backyard.
Ray Goots, Story of Queens. Anybody, if you want to see a great comedy show Friday nights, the Haunted House comedy show at 8 o'clock.
That's right.
And it's a great show for post-pandemic stuff. So definitely check it out. But yeah, a little bit better, just a little upgrade. But I don't have to be clean. So, it's a toss up, I don't have to do my G-rated, but I'm getting better at it. I don't, it's something, and then you hang out with Nate and you realize how much money you can make when you are that clean. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is the path that I should take. But also feel it's a natural thing. Like sometimes people are just naturally lean towards being like a clean comic, where I just, I kind of like pushing the envelope. So it's just it's my instinct. So, but I can push it without, throwing an F-bomb around or whatever. So I
also want to explain why I feel like really happy for you guys.
Go ahead.
Is when I first started comedy, the first guy that really helped me out, the very first night, was Nate Bargatze.
Nice.
At Eastville Comedy Club. At a mic. Afterwards, we went out to Cabin, and he took me out for drinks, because it was 2 for 1, and he was my mentor until he left for Nashville. Then nice. I remember doing a show, and I met you, and we wound up, kind of talking and like knowing you, and then but between the advice that Nate gave me in my first year, and you gave me in the years that followed, I can't begin to say, like you always kept saying, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you years. And sometimes you say something at a time and you don't get it, and then like down the road you're like, okay, now it comes together. I know what you meant by that. So the two people I always say who helped me out a lot was Nate and you, and the two of you guys together you can't ask for two better guys that where you want the success to happen to them.
No, I appreciate it. That's really sweet. And I hate you for saying that, because now I feel like I can never make fun of you on the show because you're being so kind. Being so sincere and sweet.
Oh, that's acting, my friend.
So I was in Portland, Maine, and went to a record store there. It was just called Vintage Records, I think it's new in Portland, Maine. Portland, Maine's a really cool place. I'd never spent much time there. A lot of time, Leah lives in Bethel, my girl, and so that's about an hour and a half out. So we'll go to the mall there and stuff, or maybe eat somewhere close. But we were in the town of Portland, Maine, and it was really, really cool. It had kind of a downtown scene and stuff. They had 2 record stores like side by side, and it was really cool. And I just bought some stuff. I got I'm getting really into. We're gonna have to do a jazz month. I know you guys. It's all rock and roll on here, but I would love to do a jazz month. Maybe in October, November. But Duke Ellington is somebody I'm really just can't get enough of. Every time I see some Duke Ellington, I just pick it up. And this is with Count Basie. So this is like fantastic orchestrated jazz. It's just live. It's just, this is the kind of stuff that just keeps kind of, I don't know, I put it on and I could just kind of feel it. But at the same time, I can kind of, get stuff done or whatever. It's like really soothing for me. This is kind of my Xanax, if you will, is good jazz. And I hadn't seen this before. This is My Funny Valentine with Miles Davis in concert. This seemed like a rare one. And I always try to get any live Miles Davis. I feel like it's just these rare, because he was so impromptu.
What are some of the tracks on that one?
Let's see. This is just My Funny Valentine, which is a famous jazz riff. And then All of You, Stella by Starlight, All Blues, and I Thought About You. And so, yeah, this is a lot of impromptu jazz moments that are worth getting when you get a live jazz album, especially somebody like Miles Davis. And then I'd never seen this one. This is the Allman Brothers, which I also collect every Allman Brothers record I can get my hands on. And this was Brothers of the Road, which I don't have. It has Brothers of the Road, Leaving, Straight from the Heart, The Heat Is On. Maybe we can go back to yesterday, The Judgment, Two Rights, Never Knew How Much I Needed You, Things You Used to Do, I Beg of You. These are songs I'm not real familiar with. So
what year is that?
This year is 1981.
Okay, yeah, that's that's right before Greg, I think, winds up leaving the band and doing his solo stuff.
So I was excited, because it's like I don't know these songs, and so it just seemed like a cool one to get. So whenever I see an Allman Brothers, I don't have. I mean, I even have the Cher Greg Allman album. Like it's not terrible. It's not great for sure, but it's not terrible. It's she's got a great voice. It's just
do they do a version of "I Got You, Babe"?
I don't think so. Have you heard it?
No.
Yeah, you should hear it sometime. Just be fun to talk about. It's not. I mean, obviously, it's not a great, but it's just it's a moment in time. When rock stars were doing weird shit and getting together. And so I enjoy it. I mean, what's the word? I mean, it's, at least they try to make some music together. It's better than like J-Lo and Ben Affleck trying to act together. I'll tell you that. I mean, it's better than their movie. I'll tell you that. But so Allman Brothers, you can't go wrong if you guys are out there wanting to collect some kind of, Southern rock or anything that's kind of maybe rock and roll you're not that familiar with. You're not going to go wrong with the Allman Brothers. And if you want to get to share Greg Allman, record, don't make sure you steal it because it's. But it's fun though. But it's fun. So very excited to do this show, even though we don't have Anthony. It's okay. We can pull it off. You guys have been here without me, so it's been. I appreciate you guys covering and like talking music without me. It's been.
It's not the same either. It's like it's not. Listen, how can you do Dustin's vinyl and there's no Dustin? Although I did do a Dustin impression last week.
Did you? Oh, that's funny. All right, can you do it now? Do the impression, please. I will care.
What did it say? I was like, welcome to Dustin's vinyl. I want to know why I sound like Norm Macdonald. Yeah, that's what we wound up doing last week. We wound up talking a little Norm Macdonald and Norm's albums.
Sure.
And I forgot what was the album.
I won't know. See how you changed the subject? It must have been a horrible impression if you can't do it. I got to be a hard guy. Everybody makes fun of my laugh, so you have to laugh like me. Like that's. I think if you're gonna nail my impression, I love how I'm giving advice on how to do me. I giggle all the time, so you got to throw a giggle in there, and then you got to be like, "The Cult is a great band." That's what I did.
Was that the last one we all did together? Was the Cult?
Yeah, and I'm still not sure I'm going to bring Anthony back after that. I did not like the disrespect. Adam, what do you think about the Cult? First of all, as a band, and what do you think about Electric? Because that's what we covered when you weren't here.
Well, the funny thing is, right before you brought up Electric, I had one of my friends telling me, he's like, you got to listen to the Cult Electric. This is probably maybe like a week before, and I still haven't listened to it yet. But
thanks, buddy. Way to be there for me. Yeah.
But it's on my list. It's on my list.
Cool. Yeah, they're a cool band. They're fun. So so that was a big high school band for me. It was a band that, I felt kind of encompassed a lot of my personality, a lot of my, beliefs, like Native American stuff, goth. I was really into kind of, just anything that was just out of the mainstream. So Cult was a band that kind of explored with that stuff. And I feel like their success is perfect. Like there's some bands that like I really liked U2 and Unforgettable Fire and stuff. And then after that album, they really exploded, and it was hard to like them as much because they got so famous. And so I love where the Cult went because they're all millionaires and they're all great. They're very successful. So they probably won't end up in the Hall of Fame or anything, but that's okay because I feel like they have a fan base that will continue to follow them and stuff. But it's kind of like a mid-level, like fan base that just it's good. Like we like it that we go to a concert and there's probably like 4,000 of us, like we enjoy that. Like I don't think you would enjoy, because I saw the Cult with Billy Idol and it felt too big. Like it was like, because Billy Idol was huge at the time. And so, but then I've seen the Cult probably 3 or 4 times in smaller venues and it's perfect. They might be at like a House of Blues to like a 4,000 or 5,000 seater, But,
House of Blues is perfect for them.
Yeah, I'm going to see the Struts. I'm taking Leah for her birthday. Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. And
where are they playing?
Anaheim, House of Blues in November.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she doesn't know. So we're huge Strut fans, but thanks guys for that because you really hooked me onto them and they're fantastic. So yeah, I'm taking her for that. So that'll be fun. Are you going to see them in New York?
Are they playing New York?
Yeah, I think it's they're playing
Irving Plaza.
Really?
I think you told me. I thought you told me about it, Jeff.
I think I did. You know, I got so much stuff going on right now that it's like I'm trying to figure out. Like, I know I'm going to be out in Ohio headlining some rooms, and I'm just trying to put stuff together. But I have to make room for some concert. I'm going to see Air Supply. I got Air Supply tickets. I'm going to see Sarah Brightman.
You're going to bring your roller skates for Air Supply? I always think of just roller skate rinks when I think of Air Supply. Air Supply and Journey. Think of roller skating backwards.
But you know what? I'm thinking about going to see Ghost with Volbeat.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get back a little bit. So Adam, take us through, before you give us your album, take us through your high school experience a little bit. Like what are people listening to? What's the vibe? What high school did you go to? Like, talk to us a little bit about your era. Yeah.
Right. So I went to high school from 91 to 95. So I was right at the beginning of the grunge movement and then just the heart of alternative.
Okay.
But in 91, and I actually pulled this list up here. I was listening to a lot of, I wish I could say that I was listening to Sonic Youth or the Pixies or Pavement, bands that I got into pretty much around college or after college. But I was listening to a lot of what was on MTV, a lot of the local radio, at the time you had Z100, 95.5, so a lot of top 40. And I was listening to Guns N' Roses at the heading into high school. I was listening to I started listening to REM, especially Out of Time, and and Aerosmith I was listening to a lot. But I was also listening to, and on this list right here, the top singles of 91, I was listening to Color Me Bad, CNC Music Factory.
You were all over the musical map there, my friend.
Yeah, I actually had these CDs. So
nice.
You want to sex you? I want to sex you up.
I want to sex you up. Yeah, that was number 2. So when people say that grunge took over, the number 1 song of that year was "Everything I Do It For You."
Bryan Adams, right?
Yeah.
That's the Robin Williams. Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Robin Williams as
that
Robin Hood.
That would have been a different movie.
That would have been a better movie, I think. That would have been better than Men in Tights, I'll tell you that.
Right.
that was also with Sting and Rod Stewart. Were they on that as well?
On the soundtrack? I don't know if Sting was on.
I hope
Sting wasn't on. I hate Sting.
You're not a big Sting. You like the Police?
Ugh, I don't like any of it. None of it. You can pay me
Dustin,
to listen to the Police.
I'd
rather listen to the actual Police than a Police album. I'd rather listen to a Police scanner than
like he just shuts something down.
You know what? There's just certain bands. I really tried with Sting. I did. I respect that album he did where it was all jazz and stuff. I respect that he did that. I think that's so cool. Like I wish other artists did that. Other rock artists and pop artists would explore, a different genre. I mean, some have. It's like Willie Nelson did a reggae album and stuff. Like I love it when artists do that. I think that's badass. But I just can't. It's just about I get that they're great. I get that they're geniuses, but I just can't do it. We've talked about this before. I can't do a lot of Bruce Springsteen. I can't do a lot of Tom Petty. I can't do a lot of Police or the Sting. It's Sting. I just can't. It's just not my thing. It's not that I don't shit on like Anthony where I'm like, this is not cool music. I just don't. my mom listened to it. Like, I'm not like that. It's just, it is cool. It's just not my thing. You know how it is. You don't like great music. The Doors are a phenomenal band. You don't like them. They're phenomenal. You can't say, Fleetwood Mac's another extremely talented group of people. And but you don't like, that's okay. It doesn't make it,
Yeah, I like, the funny thing is I like Lindsey Buckingham. I don't like Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I like Stuart Copeland. I don't like the Police. You know,
Stuart Copeland's a great. See, that's funny that you mentioned that. He is a phenomenal jazz drummer. Has done jazz recordings, and you're a huge jazz guy.
Yeah, so a lot of his work, his soundtracks are amazing. And I like the idea of the Police. Nobody was like them. They're very original. I mean, it was really a different kind of band, but just don't dig them. That's all. So keep going, Adam. What are you bringing us into?
All right, so I am. Let me see. So this was as a freshman in '91. This album came out in '91. It's actually the 30th anniversary of it. The band that was originally called Mookie Blaylock, and they switched the name.
Player.
Yeah, and then they didn't think they were going to be able to get the name, so they switched it to Pearl Jam. And this is Pearl Jam's debut album, 10, which I think I started listening to it. It came out in '91. I started listening to it around, I think it was '92, when right around when Even Flow came out. And for me, I think this was a kind of a gateway into alternative rock. And coming back to it, listening to it again, I hadn't listened to it in years. It's got more of a classic rock sound. It's not, you think of 10, you think of Nevermind and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains is like the four main kind of grunge era albums. But I mean, this one just sounds so much more. It sounds like Zeppelin in some parts. It has it's very arena rock. It's very arena rock ready, and it's just for me. It's I think before that I was listening to a lot of hair metal too. Besides a lot of the pop stuff, and these songs sounded a lot more emotional, a lot more intimate. This was because the guitars, everything else sounded like. It wasn't as grimy as I kind of remembered it when I'm listening to it again. This is very polished. It's a very polished album. It's very produced. But it's, it sounds like, this is something that's like you could have heard these guitars on Skid Row, on one of the Skid Row albums at the time. But I think it was just the lyrics, the story, the material was a bit darker than stuff that was out there. And, I also really liked Nirvana Nevermind, but I felt I connected a little bit more with Pearl Jam. I felt it was a little bit more accessible at the time. And it, between that and Verse came out in I think it was the following year. Pearl Jam had just taken over at my high school, especially because Nirvana had a pretty sizable gap between Nevermind and In Utero. So throughout high school, I had 10, Verse, and Vitology that came out during that, and 3 excellent records. But this first one, I picked the first one over, and I was kind of debating between doing that or Vitology. I picked this one just because this one, I don't know if I'm going to say it's their best album. A lot of people will say it's their best album, and it's considered one of the best albums of the 90s. But there is that nostalgia to it. It's packed with hits. Now you hear these, you can't really escape any of the songs that are on this. But yeah, it's just it's a tremendous album. It's it's one that I would have in my Discman pretty much. In my CD book and in my Discman from like 92 to like 94.
I think as Dustin would say, this was a great driving album. You throw this on, you don't got to change it.
I drove to it today and it was great. Yeah.
There you go.
Jeff, how do you feel? That was amazing, Adam. Great job. Jeff, how do you respond to that beautiful? Adam did a great job, man. We're gonna have to bring him in more.
No, I agree with a lot of what he says. I think it's a great album as well. I think what hooked me on this was one, the song, and two, the video for Jeremy. And you were talking about like dark content, and listen, it doesn't, that and the Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Mondays, about shooting up a classroom and feeling like isolated. That is, I think it's a very identifiable theme. I think for a debut album, and for that to be like your breakout single and your breakout video, to have that and to pull it off. I mean, to this day, Jeremy could be in my top 20 songs of all time. I love it. I love the vocal on it. At the time, nobody sounded like Eddie Vedder. Oh yeah. Then later everybody copied Eddie Vedder. But then I even like some like the darker, like dark music, like the real heady music, like Black. I think that was a great song, and that's one of those songs you can kind of get lost in it. Yeah, it was great. I mean, Even Flow and Alive were radio hits, and also just really great songs that still hold up. But that whole era, one, it killed the music that I love, but it introduced a new era of music that I enjoy as well. And I don't know, the 90s really, like the three bands I really think took over the 90s was Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden. And all those albums were released within, I think, just a few months of each other. Yeah. Like not even half a year. So think about the wealth of music, great music, between those three bands and those three albums. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I'm, I know you were debating this, and Dustin was like, pick one already, Adam. Okay.
It was like Tuesday night. I was like, dude, we got to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you picked this one.
Yeah. And what year it came out? 91?
91. Yeah.
I've said this before, and just to preface, I was finding myself religiously in Chile as a missionary. And so when I got back, it was just like this thing had happened in music. And before I left, I was kind of like Anthony. I was a bit of a snob. I was just like, it's like, oh, you don't, I got my Sugar Cubes and my Elvis Costello. And, it's like, I was, New Order and Joy Division, that's how I would talk to you. And then, it's like, whatever. Like I had this, I went through a lot of different phases in music. It was a lot of the, that kind of alternative wave stuff, 80s, whatever. And, all that stuff we all kind of went through. And so I resisted this, kind of when I got back. Like, I don't like it when music's pressed on me. Like, I feel like the older I got, I felt like, but I was always like that. Like, I never liked, like in Texas, they're like the Dallas Cowboys. And so then I'm like, nah, I'm going to like the Steelers. Like, that's my personality. So when I got back, I was talking about Pearl Jam, so about Nirvana, Soundgarden, also. And
I have a lot of John Mellencamp in you.
And I got one drum solo. That's about it. But but yeah. So I was, and I'm also religious, and so I was going through this weird religious moment in my life, and so I was kind of resisting kind of rock, actually. And I went through like all this like Vangelis and instrumental stuff and a lot of classical and jazz and stuff, because I didn't feel like, because the Mormons are like, you can't see rated R movies, you don't want to listen to music that's like graphic or whatever. And so I was really this weird culty religious kid. And so, in my 20s, which is the opposite of somebody in their 20s. And so all this music was happening. And, today, actually, listening to it, I got it. It took me a long time to get this particular band. I used to make fun of the band on stage. I would just be like, "Oh my God," with the Eddie Vedder stuff. I feel like everything is just like, ugh. It's like, and it's the voice, and like, really, it's like, could you just be more depressing? Mm-hmm. Like, it was just, it was this thing. I was talking to Leah, who's a huge fan, my girl, and she was just saying that's like, this is how we felt all the time. So there was a lot of the youth of that time. She's about your age. And it was like, this is, Eddie was kind of, the feeling he was singing is what you guys were feeling. And so you guys responded to it. Meanwhile, I'm over here, wearing a name tag and a tie going, hey, here's a book that, is not true. And so, so the older I get and the more I get involved with music and stuff, I appreciate what a band like Pearl Jam has done. And this album is definitely really great. And here's the thing that almost happened today. Oh, we lost Jeff. He would have loved what I was going to say. All right. Oh, internet froze. Okay. Well, if Jeff comes on, I'll tell him when it gets. Yep. So here's the deal. Get this shit. You're not going to believe this. First of all, is any Twitchers out there? I would love any questions about, do you like Pearl Jam? How do you feel about the grunge movement? Was it something you went, if it's something later in life that you got into? Just any comments on Pearl Jam or this album, please interact with us. We would love to hear your response. So today I posted that we were doing this, and there's a friend of mine who's in a band, and the producer Tim Palmer liked the status of us doing this album.
Oh wow!
I was this close. Hold on a second. And so Jeff's coming back, but I was this close to having Tim Palmer on the show today. And, because he mixed this album, and it was like, but then it just, things don't work out. But he liked the status. He knows we exist. So I'm going to try to get him on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a cool album. And I think when he was talking about his post about it was really cool. He talked about, just like he compared it to like, it's like it had a classic rock sound, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. And when I listen to it, I hear more. And this is a band that they're actually classic rock now, 30 years, Oh, yeah. So it's so you hear them more. You'll hear a Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, and then you'll hear them in the same mix. And so I was telling Jeff, we almost had Tim Palmer on the show, but something didn't work out. I was going to surprise you with him, but it was a time zone difference in England. But he knows we exist, and he liked the post when we did the Pearl Jam post.
Nice.
Yeah. So, this is a band that I'm not going to say I'm that familiar with all their music, but I do love this album. And I feel like I want to get more into them because it's probably as closest to the Neil Young as we have. And like the vibe of bringing something, classic that with a contemporary sound. So
especially since you're talking about Neil Young, if you listen to Vitology, their third album, that's when they were, I think they were at certain points touring with Neil Young. They did the Mirrorball EP around that time. And if you listen to certain songs, like if you listen to Immortality, has so much of a Neil Young feel to it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that it's bringing something great and kind of make it contemporary for people. And also their vibe was great. They did a lot of stuff for, activists and like, kind of, I know sometimes we don't like rock stars doing too much of that, but I felt like they had just the right amount of kind of, doing, charities and things like that for people. But, they didn't, I don't think they made too many stances, but I don't think they backed a president or anything.
I like the second album as well. I thought Verses were really good. I thought it was hard. I loved Animal off of that album. I thought that was like a real hard rock. I gravitate to that type of music as well. But I was fortunate enough to work. It was the Bob Dylan 50th anniversary show. And Eddie Vedder and Mike McCready came out, and they did an acoustic set. They only did like 2-3 songs, and they did like some Dylan on guitar, and it was just as good as them plugged in. I also got to see them again just because of the nature of my jobs. I was able to be at a lot of these different festivals that they worked. And so I got to see them. I got to see them play live a lot of times. And again, they're really like a band that kind of like takes over an arena. You know what I mean? By that, it's like it's very. There's a lot of like candles type of thing, and it's very, very vibey. I don't know if that's even an adjective. Okay, but that's what it is. There's a mood that's to it. Not all bands do that, right?
I mean, the mood is basically you don't get along with your father, but yeah, it's it's a mood.
Well, they have a pretty big right now, almost like Grateful Dead type of following, and And I think it was around it must have been around 2000 when they released all of their live shows in that tour. They released on CD. And I know they've been doing that. They have a very devoted fan club, and but their shows are incredible. I've seen them a few times, mostly in the last 10, 15 years or so. But I mean, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of they'll play a lot of hits. They'll throw in a lot of B-sides. It's really, I mean, they're really a band you got to catch live.
Yeah, there was in the chat, I think it's Jay, our producer, says finally some music I like. I don't know if that's from the chat or that's from Jay, our producer. Yeah, I mean, it's a good band, man. It's like I said, I'm not gonna pretend I'm like this huge Pearl Jam fan, but I think I'm gonna be. I think it's like the more, because Soundgarden was like that for me. Because out of all those bands, okay, it was from Jazz Talk. Apparently, that's somebody in the chat. Yeah, out of all those bands, I think Soundgarden was the one I latched onto. And I feel like Nirvana, I'm getting into a little more. Nirvana was, I mean, that first album was a perfect album, but Soundgarden I really got into and stuff. How does Pearl Jam sound on vinyl? Because I feel like it was released first on CDs, right?
So I think 10 was released first on CD. And I think it wasn't released on vinyl until, if I remember right, I think it might have been around 94. But what's interesting is Vitology, which Vitology was their third album. They released it on vinyl first before they put it out on CD.
Oh, wow.
I think it was.
Very cool.
I think they released it a couple weeks before, a couple weeks early.
Wasn't that the theme of the album? Also, Adam.
Yeah. They had the song "Spin the Black Circle" on there, which is just all about their love of vinyl.
Right.
Very
so they
cool.
tied that whole thing in. They're a connoisseurs of vinyl as well.
Yeah, and it's and that album too is it's kind of a bit of a departure from the sound of
Verse 2.
10 and Verse,
right? And
it's more garage rock oriented. It's a bit punk. It was one of my favorites, and but they also had ballads on there. That's where they had Better Man on there. You had I gotta dig it up here.
Is Better Man a ballad? I would call that a ballad. Is that a ballad?
Better Man?
What would you say? It's a slow tempo song.
I say slow tempo song.
Well, it was a song that originally I think was supposed to be for 10, and I think if I remember right, Eddie Vedder wrote this song back in the 80s, and it was a song that it was probably the most radio friendly song on the album. Nothing Man also is another slow one.
Very cool. Well, let me get a couple of these chats here. So Jazz Talk said, finally some music. And I just want to be like, dude, really? We've covered some amazing music on here. I mean, Pearl Jam's great and everything, but we've covered, the spectrum of Led Zeppelin and Traveling Wilburys and The Cure. Like, come on, man. And definitely the Cult. But so also it says fans, Mr. Poboy said, fans of them seem to also be Foo Fighters devotees. So that's last week was the Foo Fighters. I like this band way better than Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters to me are Nirvana light. It just doesn't, it's a great poppy band, but it's another band I can't really get into. That first album when it came out, it was really cool that he was doing this album and it was like a breakthrough. And I think people had gotten, in that Nirvana kind of class so long. So it was nice like this to come out, but not a huge Foo Fighters guy. I'm a huge Dave Grohl fan. I think he's so fun and amazing for music, but I'd rather listen to Pearl Jam if I'm going to do it. One more.
I gotta say, I'm so glad that you said that, Dustin. I really am, because sometimes I feel like I'm on an island by myself when I like the Foo Fighters, but I don't think they're the greatest thing. Right. I think I like Nirvana a lot better. They're fine.
Yeah, it's tight. Unbelievable. It's tight and it's fun. And like I said, he's great and he's so good for music. Right. But it's like, it's just, it's just not, it's not something that's ever like I can barely tell you a Foo Fighters song. Like, it doesn't resonate with me. Like, it's just, it's something when it's on, it's kind of fun, but I'm not going to be like, crank that up. You know, it's definitely not coming out of my mouth. One more, let's see, Mr. Chimney or something says Pearl Jam was great. A great change from the hair metal and pop rap like Vice. Yeah, I think it definitely, it killed, Jeff's music, but like you said, it just murdered all those.
Skid Row was supposed to blow up in '91, and then all of a sudden,
they blew up.
They did not. They were going to take
the song was
next,
everywhere. 18 in Life.
They were about to become Bon Jovi. They were about to become the headliners of arena rock. And then all of a sudden, they wind up now having to play 2,000 seaters and move over because it's Pearl Jam, it's Soundgarden, it's Alice in Chains. It becomes STP, it becomes all those bands. Yeah. And then people forget about how great Skid Row was.
Now, didn't Skid Row actually have some of these bands as their opener? I remember
they were supposed to have Nirvana,
open,
but because of Sebastian Schert.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
Skid Row was taken off. Sebastian Bach was like the pretty boy. He was the guy in metal. He was going to be the guy. And
he almost took over Van Halen. Yeah.
Right. And he comes to a photo shoot wearing a shirt like that looks like the Raid can, but it says AIDS kills fags dead. And Kurt Cobain was like, maybe we don't want to open for this band, and they pulled off the tour.
It's funny that that's what killed a lot of the bands. I mean, Axl Rose too said some horrible things, and in lyrics as well, but also, said some stuff. And that's what it was. It was like these that were doing a lot of cocaine, and they were kind of borderline getting into 30s and 40s. And so a lot of it was like this kind of like, we'll say whatever we want. We'll rock and roll. We'll do whatever we want. And then this, movement comes of musicians that are very conscious of social issues, very conscious of like love and peace, and trying to bring back more of that 60s vibe and stuff. So yeah, I think just the idea just felt dated. I think when you got like Poison out there and stuff and not really saying much. And then some of these bands kind of really speaking to people in a kind of a deep way. And I think that's, people were kind of maybe getting a little more introspective, I think, in the 90s out of the 80s, because the 80s was a good time. And then the 90s was like, oh shit, we got to grow up, and all these horrible things are happening. And so
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think you're right. I think people start, it's like, how much of this nonsense can you really take? I mean, even I was at that point, like it became like a little over the top, like enough of the spandex. We did become dated. And then you see these guys come out in flannel shirts and shorts.
Yeah, it was rock and roll again. Right. Yeah, it was like, it was punk and rock. And, it was like, I just felt, I get it. Like I always got it. I just wasn't like, I was exposed to it later, but yeah, I think that's what it is. And now when you go see a band like Poison or whatever, it's nostalgia is what makes you really enjoy it. Like cause you could just put yourself, I'm 12 right now. You know what I mean? I'm not judging this. I'm 12 years old, or I'm 18, it's quite right, whatever it is. And you're just like, yeah, you can enjoy it that way, as opposed to kind of like, just, I don't know, just being
you want to hear something, you want to hear something douchey about me, Dustin? Adam?
Without me saying, sure. What do you got?
Okay. So Adam is showing a video in the background. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. I went out. I loved this performance. I liked this look of Eddie Vedder. So like back in this time, my hair was still kind of long, and I went out and I bought like that jacket.
Nice. I have that jacket now.
I
have beautiful hair like
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah. I went down that road. Yeah. I had beautiful hair like that. Cut it off. It was more of an NXS thing when I had it.
No, you were more of a Dead or Alive look.
No, I was not. I was very in excess. It was all one length, whatever. And don't act like like the high school with me. Like,
you had the eye patch.
I've had 15 different phases in my life. I'm not like you. That was more adamant and whatever. It was just whatever. I was going through like wavy stuff. And then I went like, because when U2 like when Rattle and all that stuff, like we were all trying to be Bono, and Bono had the long hair and the ponytail and stuff. So I went through that phase, and then I went to Chile, and then I came back, and long hair is cool again. So then I grew my hair long, and then when I started comedy, I looked like Eddie Vedder. I used to get that. I got grunge auditions and commercials and stuff because it was like they wanted grunge looking guys. I got, but yeah, I tried to look like Eddie Vedder and facial hair and the long hair and stuff. So when I started comedy, that's my look. It was like the grunge look before I started doing that Kid Rock shit. I look more like him. So I get it. We all went through some sort of phase that we were trying to capitalize on the grunge movement. I was just trying to get girls. Like I wasn't. That was it. But this is a great album. And if you guys want to chat anymore, we'd love talking to you about it. But it was definitely something different. And I think that's what a lot of people liked about it, responded. So let's go back to, that's the thing is when you're a kid, you're always listening to music in your life. There's always moments in your life where there's bands and music. And, I remember, dances and stuff were always like these awkward moments in my life. Just trying to just the idea of talking to a girl. I feel like Jeff had game when he was like in third grade. It took me like forever to figure out how to talk to a girl. And I just remember slow dances were like, just like terrifying, but exhilarating at the same time when you could actually find a girl that would let you just be close to her. And you're just like, you got this little seventh grade, excitement happening. And then you're in there, and Chicago was a big deal for me. It was like all those Chicago songs. I remember when I was a little kid, and like not little kid, but like 8th grade or whatever. And you're the meaning of my life. Inspiration, like all those like sappy Chicago songs. What are you, Adam? What are some of the songs that you remember when you were just figuring out how to be an awkward middle school kid?
I was incredibly awkward, and we had see, we got
we can't all be as cool as you and have a rat tail in kindergarten, okay, Jeff? Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so slow dances. It Must Have Been Love, Roxette.
Oh, that's a good song. Yeah, that's a good one.
Nothing compares to you, the Sinead O'Connor one.
Good song.
What was that like? Do you have a story for that one? Do you remember that? Were you like,
it was I'm trying to remember. I just remember I remember wanting to hear Guns N' Roses. Most of those.
You're like, I can't take this feeling right now. Like this is, I am too vulnerable with this woman singing about heartbreaking.
Right.
In the chat, if you guys have anything, what's a just a song that you remember from like a junior high, middle school dance? And Young MC and Tone Loc, all that stuff was big.
Yeah, there was
remember that
what
stuff?
Was it? MC Hammer, You Can't Touch This.
Yeah, all that stuff was big.
Paula Abdul, Straight Up.
Oh, Paula, that's good stuff. Song. Yeah. What about you, Jeff? What was some of the? You remember?
First, let me comment on my game back in high school. This is my defense.
You had game. You've always been a cool guy. You had a record store at high school. Like, you're a cool guy. I wasn't a diss. A lot of times I'll diss you, but I'm not dissing you now. I mean, your devotion to Pat Benatar is something I'll diss, but I'm not going to diss you being cool in high school.
No, but this was my defense mechanism. You go up, you ask out a girl. She says no. You accuse her of being a lesbian, and you moved on. It kept your ego in check, your fragile ego.
Yeah. You definitely can't do that anymore. Sorry if there's any lesbians that are here. We appreciate you, and Jeff is just letting us know how it was back then.
This is back in the day. But no, I would be a little awkward sometimes too, because I was like, again, a complete Black Sabbath freak. And I would always talk about Black Sabbath at parties. And like me and my friends would
dance
talk about
to that? You danced to that?
No, that's what I mean. I wound up getting into dance music so I can hook up with girls. This isn't about girls. This is just about like when you're in a dance and like, they play the music. Like, what are some of the songs you remember? The songs. Okay, for me, like I think the best songs to meet girls with everything was dance music. like disco dance music, songs like Born to Be Alive, like by Patrick Hernandez, like all like that real like hardcore disco, like
the stuff that the Twitch people have no idea, right? That's the kind of stuff. Yeah, somebody said "Creep" Radiohead, which is a great. I don't know if I want to dance to that song. It's a beautiful song.
It's a great song.
If you're with somebody, like if you get let's say you get a person, girl, male, whatever, and you guys are dancing to Radiohead, I feel like it's hard to break that bond because that's a beautiful experience. Like that's a I mean, what a song that song is. Except when Dave Chappelle sings it. Yeah.
Dustin, you know I was a phenomenal dancer. Okay.
Here we go again, guys.
Phenomenal. I was a dancer.
If there's no video, it didn't happen. Until you bring this video, it didn't happen. Here we go. This is old school Dustin's vinyl because this was a big argument in the beginning. Was that Jeff called himself a phenomenal dancer?
Phenomenal dance. All right.
Well, we'll get see some video
somewhere. I do. God, we reveal a lot on this show. I do have video.
Here's a good song. But he's Mad Ben said, "No doubt is I'm Just a Girl." That is a great song.
That's real 90s.
One of her middle school songs. Yeah, that's a good song. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great band. Like a lot of people, that band I like that I probably wouldn't admit as much as I do. Like it's I feel like they're very tight, perfect kind of pop rock band. Like I don't know how you feel about them, but I think they're really good. I think
she's no Pat Benatar.
No Pat Benatar. Nobody's trying to be Pat Benatar. That's just a fun band. Like, do you like them at all, Adam? I don't know. I think they're fun.
Yeah, they had a few good songs. They had what was this Spiderwebs?
It's like I like them. I like Garbage. They're just
I love Garbage. See, that's a band I love.
Yeah, I don't love No Doubt. I think they're good. Yeah. I think they're touring with Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, I was supposed to go.
I saw them with Alanis Morissette. This is like an anniversary of that tour. That was a great tour.
That's great.
And she's pretty good live too, actually. Alanis.
She's very talented. Very talented. All right, guys. Well, this has been fun. We're going to do a back to school, and we're going to get Jeff's back to school next week, and that's going to be interesting. Just I'm looking forward to it. And follow us again on Instagram, Dustin's Vinyl, on Facebook. And let us know if there's any albums you want us to cover, and keep us supporting record stores and all that good stuff. You guys are fun, and we'll see you next time. Back to school. Yeah.
Good to have you back, Dustin.
Thank you, buddy. It's been
too,
fun.
Adam. Good album choice. Take care, guys.
Yeah, Adam, I'm getting you in on the show a little more. I like you. Yep. I like your like your style, man. It's good. Can't just be me and Jeff all the time. That's so boring. You add a nice element. All right, everybody.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye. Pearl Jam.